Welcome in to the PFF NFL Grade Release Show. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wasserman here. No Trevor Sikkema today. He's actually in Mobile, Alabama, covering the Senior Bowl. Dalton, we will also be hopefully covering the Senior Bowl this week. We'll see how the weather holds up for us right now because it's pretty bad in Cincinnati. But before we risk our lives to travel to Mobile, Alabama, we want to break down these two conference championship games right now and release the PFF grades for both of them, with the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks advancing to Super Bowl 60. Kind of a rematch, Dalton, of Super Bowl 49 11 years ago when the Pats beat the Seahawks 28-24 off that, of course, Malcolm Butler interception at the goal line.
A great game that day that we get to see a rematch of, and two great games that we got yesterday. Obviously, in their own way, one game dealing with tough conditions, and then, of course, we got the very much hyped up round 3 of Rams Seahawks that lived up to its billing. Two awesome games and an unexpected Super Bowl. If you had told anybody before the season that we were getting New England and Seattle in this matchup, they would have called you crazy, but that's the fun of the NFL. You never know what's coming next.
Absolutely. I want to remind you guys right now all the grades that we're going to release for you guys right now, all the stats we're going to talk about in this show as well, are all available with a PFF Plus subscription right now. Get it. You can get it, like I said, all the grades, all the stats. You also get access to our 2026 NFL Mock Draft Simulator, where you can draft a full 7 rounds for your favorite team or all 32 NFL teams. You get our best-in-class player prop tool, which, of course, we'll show you guys later on in the show in more depth as well. And you get access to our betting tools, and you get access to our fantasy football tools for next season's fantasy football year 2. All right, Dalton, let's start off with the AFC Championship game, an ugly one that we had in Denver with the New England Patriots pulling it out 10-7 over the Denver Broncos. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the Patriots. Their highest graded player was their corner, Carlton Davis, with an 84.2. Wide receiver Mac Hollins, 83.9. Safety Craig Woodson, 80.3. Center Garrett Bradbury, 78.8. Defensive tackle Milton Williams, 74.9. And their quarterback Drake May, 53.2 for the Broncos. Their highest grade players, the reigning defensive player of the year, and Pat Surtain, 84.6 at corner. Offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey, 82. Safety Talanoa Hufanga, 81.4. Linebacker Alex Singleton, 79.7. Linebacker Dre Greenlaw, 74.4. And their quarterback, the backup, Jarrett Stidham, with a 45.6 grade in relief of Bo Nix. The Patriots, again, advancing to the Super Bowl. Their NFL record 12th Super Bowl appearance, and they're looking for a record 7th title right now. We're actually right now tied with the Steelers for the most Super Bowls in NFL history with 6. They can make it 7 in a couple weeks. Of Dalton, what told the story in this game?
To me, New England's defense stepped up, obviously, a third time in a row in harsh conditions. And look, they found themselves in these defensive battles all postseason against the Chargers, who have a very good defense. Houston, arguably the best defense in football. And then this Denver defense as well that they had to go toe-to-toe with, right? It was ugly. Drake May couldn't find a rhythm in the first half, but their defense outplayed Denver's just enough. And the Denver Broncos, with just one explosive play this entire game, the Marvin Mims 52-yard catch early that set up their only score of the day on Denver's second drive. You look at just this Broncos offense, they didn't take advantage of some opportunities they had with good field position early in the game, and then in the second half, the first time they got the ball, it already started snowing heavily. And look, Jarrett Stidham was going to have a tough task against this New England defense in clean conditions. Once the snow and all the wind and everything hit in the second half, it got extremely hard, right? Minus 0.434 EPA per play on the day for Denver. Jarrett Stidham, 46.7 passing grade. You didn't expect him to necessarily be spectacular, but they needed better than that, especially in the first half. There was the big mistake on the backwards pass that set up New England's only touchdown of the day. 2 turnovers total, the second one being the interception that essentially sealed it for New England. And when you look at this, when it was clean, it was at least a functional offense, 125 net yards on their first 4 drives, just 56 the rest of the game. And I think the one thing that concerned me more than Stidham for Denver than anything else was their lack of a run game, right? In these types of conditions, you have to find a way to run the football. They got outrushed 141-79. Denver just could not find enough on offense, enough explosiveness on offense. And for New England, kind of the same story as it was last week against Houston, where was it consistently great on offense? No, it wasn't, but they created just enough explosive plays. In this game, especially on the ground when it mattered, New England had 7 explosive plays. Denver just won the entire day, and it was so hard for them, especially without a functional running game. It was so hard for them to manufacture offense against, one, a really good and improving, healthy defense that's playing its best football over the last month, and 2, the conditions. You have to be able to run the football in these conditions. They just were not able to do that.
Yeah, my stat really is just the weather in the second half, the amount of snow, the winds that we had in the second half, because really the first half of this game had clear skies. It was a regular football game out there. Second half turned to a snow globe, really, in Denver. 4 missed kicks total in this game, 2 of them in the second half, with the other 2 at the end of the first half, really when the conditions started to get a little bit worse out there in Denver. The Broncos had 149 yards of total offense in the first half, 32 total yards of offense in that second half. They averaged 1.9 yards per play in the second half with 1 first down. The missed field goal, of course, Denver opting to go for it on the 4th down instead of taking a field goal, which I know some people think is a controversial decision by Sean Payton. He actually said in the post-game press conference that he regretted that decision. The Patriots, simply put, they handled the Denver elements better than the Broncos did, and they outlasted them in the second half in what turned into be a really, really ugly football game in the second half of the AFC title game.
1 first down for Denver in the second half, and Peyton even mentioned that, and I agree with this part. I don't hate the decision at all to go for it there on 4th and 1, right? Because most everybody's going for it on any 4th and 1 and plus territory at this point, you know, with everything we have in the advancements in these 4th down decisions. The one I question more, actually, is the 4th and 5 where they tried to kick the field goal in the second half. Stidham got it from 3rd and 12 to 4th and 5. And look, I know it's 46 yards and that should be makeable for every kicker in the NFL, but in those conditions, that would have been an all-time type kick, right?
Yeah.
You think about Adam Vinatieri all those years ago playing against the Raiders for New England. Will Lutz, that would have been the kick of his life if he made that. Leonard Taylor obviously did a great job getting a hand on it, but I actually question more so if he should have gone for that on 4th and 5 and kept the ball in his own hands and maybe tried to go up 14-10 there and keep manufacturing that drive. I understand you want to try to tie the game and see where it goes from there, let your defense try to win it. And at that point, the deeper you got in the game, the team that had to throw the football was in much more danger in those conditions, right? So I do understand it for the sake of in a normal situation, yeah, you're absolutely kicking that on 4th and 5, but I do wonder with those conditions if there was any temptation to go for that one. I don't question the 4th and 1.
No, neither do I.
I actually question the decision to kick that from 46 yards in those conditions because it felt like, boy, the odds were long that Lutz was going to make that kick, right? It's just it was such harsh conditions. You could see neither quarterback was comfortable throwing the ball. And credit to New England and their coaching staff and the way they called their offensive plays. 29 run calls in the second half compared to just 10 pass calls. At a certain point, they just decided they were going to win this game 10-7. And however that had to be done offensively with grinding it out with the run game, cool, and defensively, they had to ask those guys to play really the game of their lives, and they did it, obviously helped by the weather, but Denver just could not create anything explosive. So often in the snow and harsh conditions, you just need 1 or 2 plays to flip the field. They couldn't find that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's go over to most impressive, Dalton. Who impressed you the most in this game?
I'll tell you what, these two guys have been playing so well for New England all postseason. The outside corners, Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez. Now, Gonzalez did give up the big play to Mims early, kind of got lost a little bit there with matching his zone coverage on the outside. But other than that, these two were outstanding. Davis, 88.4 coverage grade, 2 catches allowed for just 5 yards, 3 stops in coverage, and a forced incompletion. Gonzalez, 73.5 coverage grade. After that catch that he allowed to Mims, he allowed just 1 more catch for 6 yards the rest of the way, 2 stops in coverage, and the game-sealing interception. These two guys on the outside they've just been outstanding, along with Marcus Jones in the slot all postseason. And New England, down the stretch of the season, has been one of the best coverage teams in the league. As they've gotten healthier, as Christian Gonzalez got healthier early in the year, this is such a big impact unit for this New England team. The 3 corners have been outstanding, and of course it's safety as always. Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson, the rookie, they've been terrific. This is one of the most underrated secondaries in football, and right now the cornerbacks are playing their best football heading into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, great point here, too, by the Rocked On Podcast Network, saying that the kick by Will Lutz was actually blocked, too. So he might have been good if it wasn't blocked by Leonard Taylor at the line of scrimmage.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's just, and even then, it was just such a tough kick. I mean, and we'll never know with Taylor getting a finger on it. Maybe it would have hooked in there and just found its way in, but I still, again, question whether or not on 4th and 5, if it was longer than that, if it had stayed 4th and 12 and they were in that same spot and it was a really low percentage outcome there on offense, then maybe I go, okay, yeah. 4th and 5 gets into that territory for me in those conditions where I go, you know what? We got to find a way to pick up 5 yards. And then you're looking at a position where you can keep grinding away and take a lead. And if Denver takes a lead in this game in those conditions with their defense, then I think they're winning this ball game. It's a really tough decision. It is. I think shorter, 4th and 3 or less, I think he might have done it. 4th and 5 might have been the cutoff for Sean there.
I want to shout out Mike Vrabel, man, the head coach of the New England Patriots right now, who actually has a chance to become the first person in NFL history to win a Super Bowl for a franchise as a player and as a coach a couple years from now, because of course he won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots as a linebacker for the Patriots during that Brady dynasty. He's looking for his first ever as a head coach. The Patriots are coming off back-to-back 4-13 seasons, the 9th team in NFL history to go from last in their division to the Super Bowl the very next year. And they were last in the AFC East for back-to-back years before this year. They're the first team since the Los Angeles Rams back in 1999, the greatest show on turf, to win 4 or fewer games and then make a Super Bowl the very following year. His quarterback, Drake May, could become the youngest quarterback in NFL history to win a Super Bowl at only 23 years old and in his 2nd season. Mike Vrabel was not the problem in Tennessee with the Titans. He was not the problem at all. And he's showing right now that he is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And I know, Dalton, there's a lot of great candidates for Coach of the Year right now, but Mike Vrabel is absolutely should be one of the top guys to know for that award.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you look at all the candidates, Mike McDonald, both of these coaches that won yesterday.
Shanahan, yeah.
Kyle Shanahan's been great, obviously, all season. I mean, you've got so many great candidates for that award, but Vrabel and the job that he's done. And look, it just feels like everything that this organization did in the offseason, everything paid off, right? The additions on the offensive line between the young kids like Jared Wilson and Will Campbell, the veterans, Garrett Bradbury, Morgan Moses, and then you just think of everybody they brought in, right? Stephon Diggs, Robert Spillane, Carlton Davis, drafting Craig Woodson, he's immediate starter as a 4th rounder. This team, every single addition they made worked. Milton Williams in the middle, I believe, had 8 pressures in this game. He was outstanding all day. You just look at the right mix of guys. I've talked about this for weeks and weeks. They have the right mix of veterans and young kids and veterans on the coaching staff. Mike Vrabel's coached in AFC title games before. Josh McDaniels has coached in Super Bowls before, coached against Seattle in that Super Bowl at the end of the 2014 season, like you mentioned. So the experience of the veterans on this team and the energy that the young kids bring to the table, right? Drake May, okay, not throwing the football well. Look at the impact his legs had on the game, right? A guy like Craig Woodson in the secondary, Christian Gonzalez, right, on the outside. They've just got the right mix of guys to be able to do this, and they're finding ways to win tough games. And everybody got on them about having the easiest schedule in the regular season. Well, they've played 3 of the top 5 or 6 defenses in the league, and they found their way through it. And that's the way that
now they're playing the best one, arguably.
And now they're playing the best one, possibly going into the Super Bowl. But Super Bowl caliber, championship caliber teams find ways to win without their best punch. Yes, Drake May has not played fantastic through this postseason, but he did through the entire regular season.
Yeah.
He's a top 2 MVP candidate, right? You win without your best punch, that's what makes great teams. So I don't want to hear about anything, lucky stuff and easy schedule and CJ Stroud this and, the Chargers off. You play who's in front of you, right? And these are still pretty darn good football teams in front of them. Yeah, a little bit lucky that Bo Nix didn't play, sure, but their defense still had to step up on a day when their offense was not consistent throughout the day. Mike Vrabel deserves all the credit in the world. Josh McDaniels, I think, especially for the development of Drake May. And May understanding in these situations when he's got to take a step back. And love the fact that on the naked bootleg,
he called his own number.
He called his own number. That was not planned at all. Drake May just said, you know what, I'm going to keep this ball in my
his own
hands.
old line didn't know he was going to do that either.
No, nobody
Garrett Bradbury was like, dude, I'm panicking right now. I was like, where the hell is football?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I mean, Josh McDaniels didn't even call it. May just taking it upon himself. Now, is it a gamble?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's a gamble worth taking there, obviously, when it works like that. Or even if it doesn't, you're still going to punt it away and make Denver work for it. I like the grit that he shows there. And the understanding, we talk about this a lot in those ugly games, understanding the assignment. Just don't turn the football over. Throw it out of bounds when you need to, hang on to it and run when you need to. So I think May, does he deserve some more credit than he's probably getting right now? He's getting a lot of hate right now for winning these games, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But sometimes these are games you got to get through in the postseason. And it is what it is. You go on the road against a really good team in Denver in poor conditions. They found their way through it, and now they're in the Super Bowl after back-to-back 4-win seasons.
Like I said, the second youngest quarterback ever to make the Super Bowl, only behind Dan Marino when he made it with the Miami Dolphins. But Marino did not win the Super Bowl that year, so Drake May could become the youngest quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl in his second year at 23 years old. Dalton, what disappointed you the most in this game?
Look, my biggest concern coming into this game was Denver's ability or inability to run the football, especially just ever since J.K. Dobbins got hurt and he didn't make it back in time for this game. They have not been a very good running team at all. Denver running backs in this game, 62.8 rushing grade, 18 carries, 52 yards. They had 2 first downs the entire day. Their offensive line, 51.9 run blocking grade, and on design runs, just 3 yards before contact all day. They lost this game, to me, because their inability to run the football. There may have been too much pressure on Jarrett Stidham anyway to make things happen, and then they were behind in the second half, and they still had to throw the football because they just couldn't trudge through the snow and get through this New England defensive line. And don't get me wrong, New England's defensive line was awesome. You look at Milton Williams and Christian Barmore in the middle, guys like Caleb Chase on the edge had a good game. But Denver's inability to run the football and their lack of balance all year, it was going to come to a head at some time in this postseason in a big spot. Sean Payton tried to fix it. He tried to experiment with it in the second half of the year, but they just didn't get it done. And now you look at J.K. Dobbins, a free agent, unrestricted. Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Bidet, they're restricted free agents. You have R.J. Harvey as the only guy under contract right now. Sean Payton needs to look at this offense and ask himself what he wants this run game to look like, because they need more talent at running back. I think Harvey can be a good complementary piece, but they need more than that. And you saw that earlier in the year when they had Dobbins and Harvey. It was working, but they need a longer-term solution than J.K. Dobbins, who has a long injury history, as we know.
Yeah, this is always going to be a game where Jarrett Stidham could not have been the driving force for the Broncos to win. Of course, the defense played great for Denver, but they needed more of a run game. I'm completely with you right there. That was also, for me, the most disappointing part of this game. I want to answer a question real quick from Banks in the chat, asking who the youngest quarterback actually was. Is Ben Roethlisberger back in Super Bowl 40 when they beat the Seattle Seahawks. He was 23 years old as well, like Drake May, but almost 24. So Drake May is a little bit younger than Ben Roethlisberger was back in Super Bowl 40. My most disappointing is the Broncos pass rush, and I also want to shout out the Patriots offensive line in this game too. The Broncos entered this game third in the NFL with 42% pressure rate on the year. The Patriots, they were only 24th in the NFL in pressure rate allowed at 38%. So on paper, this should have been a mismatch in the Broncos' favor. In fact, it was a mismatch with the Patriots dominating with their offensive line in pass protection. Only a 59.3 team pass rush grade by the Broncos. Only a 28% pressure rate by Denver, their second worst mark of the entire season. 17% pass rush win rate by Denver, their worst pass rush win rate as a team all year. Now, of course, Drake May did not play very well in this game, so it's not like he was taking advantage of all the clean pockets that he had from his offensive line, but guys like Will Campbell, Mike Onwenu, Garrett Bradbury, I know Will Campbell kind of went viral for trying to go for the cut block there, but other than that, man, he had a great game. 80-plus pass rush grades for all three of those guys out there. They really held a team that's been dominant in defense all year, and a team that's had a great pass rush all year. Guys like Zach Allen and Nick Benito are very, very dangerous pass rushers. They held them really in check in this game.
No, absolutely. I mean, and you look at this is a very tough quarterback. This is going to be a story going into the Super Bowl against Seattle. This is a tough quarterback to pass protect for in Drake May. When you look at, we keep track of things like we will charge quarterbacks as responsible for pressures and sacks when they are holding the football too long. Drake May, we have charged as at least partially responsible for 25 sacks this season. And he's been sacked, I believe, 65 times, I believe it is. He's been charged with 25 sacks and 49 pressures as the second most behind Jackson Dart. Drake May holds on to the football a lot. So when you look at the 5 sacks in this game, we charge 2 to the offensive line and 3 to Drake May. right? For holding the ball too long, trying to scramble, trying to make plays. So when you really look at this New England offensive line, is it the best offensive line you ever seen? No. It's patchwork. They put the whole darn thing together in the offseason, but it was good enough, like you just mentioned, and it was good enough in the ground game to open enough holes to get those 5 explosive runs. Drake May with a handful of scrambles that were big time in this game as well. So you look at New England's offensive line and the pass rushes they've played, and it's not going to get easier, like you mentioned. They've done enough. And we've seen plenty of other teams, like the Chargers, like the Texans, who in big spots have not done enough on the offensive line to win games. They've done enough. It hasn't been the greatest thing ever, but it's certainly enough.
Absolutely. Yep, the New England Patriots beating the Denver Broncos 10-7 to win the AFC Championship for an NFL record 12th time and looking for their 7th Super Bowl title. Before we move on to the NFC Championship game, I want to talk about the sponsor of the show. That is Western and Southern. Our game plan of the week is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Honestly, love the call by Drake, man. That was kind of a gutsy call at the end there to get the first down and ice this game away in icy conditions in Denver, but gutsy call, and it was a right call nonetheless by the 23-year-old second-year quarterback. So shout out to Drake May for calling his own number on that critical third down play. And just like every team win starts with a great game plan, your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect you and your family so you can focus on winning today, knowing that tomorrow is covered. Whether you're just starting out, building your dynasty, or looking to lock in long-term protection, their coverage options are designed to match your game plan. Visit westernsouthern.com/PFF to get your free life quote and start building your financial game plan today. Western and Southern, built to win, backed by over 130 years of helping people protect what matters most. We'll also show you guys the PFF player prop tool, which will, of course, be incredible for the Super Bowl coming up in a couple weeks as well. So let's look at the PFF player prop tool available for you guys right now.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok rules sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff. Because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.
Once again, that player prop tool is available right now with a PFF Plus subscription. Of course, player props are most popular during the Super Bowl, so make sure you guys take advantage of it right now with the player prop tool. Make plenty of money in Super Bowl 60, where the Seattle Seahawks will be playing against the New England Patriots. The Seahawks beating the Rams 31-27 to win the NFC Championship. The Seahawks advancing to Super Bowl 60, their 4th ever Super Bowl appearance, and they're looking for their 2nd ever title as a franchise. Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Seattle Seahawks. Their highest grade player, of course, Jackson, Smith, and Jigbo. He was open 24/7 in that NFC title game, an elite 92.2 PFF grade for one of the best receivers in the NFL. At number 2 is their rookie safety, Nick Emmanwori, 89.5 for him. Offensive tackle Charles Cross, 81.9. Running back Kenneth Walker, 77.5. Offensive tackle Abraham Lucas, 71.8. And their quarterback Sam Darnold with a 67.4 grade. Let's go over to the Rams with their highest grade players in the loss. Another elite receiver at the top in Puka Nacua, 91.5 elite grade for him. Number 2, another wide receiver here, Devontae Adams, 83.1. Number 3, edge rusher Jared Verse, 77.5. Safety Cameron Kitchens, 72.2. Tight end Colby Parkinson, 71.1. And Matthew Stafford with a really good 81.1 grade, but not enough for the Rams to take down the Seahawks. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
Just want to point out for those wondering about Darnold too, there was a fumbled snap, and we really kind of kill you for fumbles. Without that play, his grade would have been almost a 75. So really, a solid effort from Sam Darnold, and that's where we're going to start, because the big question coming into this game, we had a lot of constants in this game. We know Stafford's great. We know Nacua and Adams are great. The Rams defense is solid. Secondary a little bit shaky. Seattle might have the best defense in football. Kenneth Walker's been raging hot, but the one question left for the Seattle Seahawks, and we saw it late, fourth quarter and overtime, the last time these two teams played in Seattle and the Seahawks won, was can Sam Darnold really go toe-to-toe with one of the elite quarterbacks in the league, maybe the best quarterback in the league this year in Matthew Stafford? Can he really do it? And he did it. EPA per pass, Seattle 0.48, Rams 0.479, dead even. Passing grades, Darnold 72, Stafford 79.5. Good enough. Third and fourth down passing grades. Sam Darnold actually won the big moments in this game. Seattle was 7 of 13 on third down. The Rams were 1 for 8. Third and fourth down passing grades. Darnold, 66.9. Good enough. Matthew Stafford, 27.5. He did not complete a pass on third or fourth down in this game. Yards per attempt within a yard of each other. Passer rating, 127.8 for Darnold, 127.6 for Stafford. Dead even, both quarterbacks. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is what you're asking for. Is he going to outduel Stafford? Probably not. But can you keep it even in a game where we ran for less than 80 yards, in a game where the defense, and the coaching matchup in this game, Max, was just outstanding once again. You saw all of the punches, counter punches, Clint Kubiak versus Chris Shula, Sean McVay versus Mike McDonald. The play calling was outstanding. The adjustments were outstanding from both sides all game. Both quarterbacks made great throws. But at the end of the day, the last question to answer for Seattle was against this team, especially with the best passing game in the league this year. Could Sam Darnold just even that battle enough for them to escape with another win against a big rival playing for a third time? He absolutely did that. He was really good. I thought this was, honestly, looking at it, obviously the fumbled snap is what it is with the grading. I thought this was the best game he's played in 3 months. I really do. I think it's the best game he's played since October, and he came through in the biggest moments, again, especially on third and fourth down, in the last-minute drive at the end of the first half, the last drive when he had to make a couple of throws as they were burning the clock. Darnold was at his best in this game for the most part. Matt Stafford was also terrific, except really in some of those big third and fourth down moments. You think about that final 4th and 4 where they could have taken a lead. That's really the difference to me. Everything about these teams is so even. And the perception, and it's a correct perception, is that the Rams had a big advantage at quarterback. Generally, that's the case. Darnold stepped up in the biggest moment.
Yeah, the same exact stat, really. It's 9.6 yards per pass combined for both these teams. You had 2 flamethrowers in Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold going throw for throw in this game. The Seahawks entered this game first in yards per pass this year. Rams were third in yards per pass, and they showed why in this one. You mentioned before, 720 combined passing yards for both these quarterbacks in this one. Rams averaging almost 11 yards per pass. Seahawks averaging almost 10 yards per pass in this game with 7 combined big-time throws from both quarterbacks. Again, Both these quarterbacks have been stars all year for their teams. Darnold kind of got cold at the end of the year, but he's getting hot right now. And Matthew Stafford, his MVP season is over now, but he has been terrific all year and probably will win MVP for the first time in his career. The NFL honors coming up pretty soon. Just an incredible job by both these quarterbacks. My most impressive, Dalton, is Sam Darnold. Honestly, one of his best games in the biggest moment of his career. 346 passing yards, second most all year. 3 touchdowns, no picks. How about this? All 3 touchdowns were under pressure for Sam Darnold in this one, too. 3 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays, 74% adjusted completion rate for Darnold in this one, too. And as you know, Dalton, number 3 overall pick back in 2018, drafted by the Jets, flames out in New York after only 3 years there. He bounces around to the Panthers and the 49ers for 3 years before finally getting a shot really as a starter when J.J. McCarthy goes down for the Vikings last year. He takes full advantage of that opportunity. He earns a $100 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks, and in his very first year there, he is going to the Super Bowl, and it feels like he's had a journeyman career so far. He's still only 28 years old right now, so he's still got a lot of football left in Sam Darnold. And honestly, we oftentimes, whenever we talk about draft busts, we always say, oh yeah, that guy really did not, he failed the team. Oftentimes, and especially for quarterbacks, teams fail the player too, and that was the case for Sam Darnold. Just an incredible turnaround for him. And how about this, Dalton? From that infamous quarterback draft in 2018, guys like MVP winners like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and great quarterback like Baker Mayfield too. Sam Darnold's the first one in that class to go to a Super Bowl. If I told you that 2 years ago, you said, what the hell are you talking about? Like, oh, is it backup? Yeah, maybe. Which he, of course, did with the 49ers too. But no, he's starting in a Super Bowl right now, man. Now he's looking to stop the Patriots from winning a Super Bowl, just like your Jets drafted him to do back in 2018. How about that?
I think it's fun that you mentioned, too, that Super Bowl 2 years ago between Kansas City and San Francisco, because not only was Sam Darnold the backup on that team, so it gets a little bit of a feel watching Brock Purdy trying to win that game, a feel of what the Super Bowl looks like. But also remember, and this is the whole reason that Darnold came to Seattle, Clint Kubiak was the passing game coordinator on that team. Right? So when you look at the combination of Kubiak and Darnold, and look, I was optimistic on this combination. Remember when everything was all doom and gloom in Seattle? Geno Smith is gone, and they traded DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and what in the world are we going to look like on offense? Our offensive line, we're trying to fix it too. And I can remember back in March going, Darnold and Kubiak know each other. It's essentially a lot of the same system he ran with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. This can work. Now, did I think it could work to the extent where they'd go to a Super Bowl? No, I'll be honest, I didn't think that. I thought maybe, you know what? A little more optimism. Maybe your fringy wildcard team between this defense, Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak, and that combination with the offensive play caller and the quarterback. Their offensive line over the last 3 or 4 games has played their best football of the year. You want another impact player. Nicky Manwari, obviously safety, linebacker, whatever you want to call him. He's been great. Gray Zabel, the rookie left guard, their first-round pick. He's been one of their best players over the last month or so as well. It's all coming together for the Seahawks at the right time. And there was some bumps early, right? They were working through some injuries. Remember Devin Witherspoon and Nicky Manwari being hurt earlier in the year. This team is so good in all 3 phases. And you can win a trophy with a quarterback like Sam Darnold. Playing like this, he still has to play well. But with this team is stacked. What Mike McDonald can do with this defense, with what he can do with his play calling. Clint Kubiak has called just A-plus games week in and week out. I thought he called another A-plus game in this one. Kenneth Walker emerging at the right time as a dual threat, especially with Zach Charbonnet hurt. This is a complete football team. And I think Darnold really is the last piece of that puzzle. If he plays like this, they're going to win the Super Bowl. So now the question is, and there's plenty of them that Mike Vrabel and Zach Kerr are going to have to answer for New England. The question is now, how do you disrupt Darnold's rhythm? Because now he's really in a rhythm in these 2 playoff games. And then how do you deal with just all of the weapons and trying to keep yourself in this game against the Seattle defense that also is very hard to score on? And the Rams are the only team all year that's really been consistently able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, shout out Sam Darnold. Like I said, Dalton, stopping the Patriots from winning a Super Bowl is what are you drafting him to do with the Jets, so.
That is what
it all ends up.
There's a lot of people in New York that would take that as a proxy win. I don't know if I feel that great about it, but I mean, more than that, boy, I can't imagine how they're feeling in Minnesota right now.
Oh, yeah.
More so than the Jets. That was years and years. That's you're getting on 8 years ago, Max, that we drafted him. I mean, we drafted a whole nother quarterback and failed another one after that. But I mean, I can't even imagine what they're feeling in Minnesota watching this right now. But again, it's a credit to Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak, especially as well. When you just look at, they believed in this team the entire time. They believed Darnold was talented enough. They believed their team was talented enough. And you look at, again, the two stars of the draft, Zabel and Eamon Wari. I mean, they're another team. Look at what they've brought in the offseason, and everything has worked. Every guy they brought in the offseason, even during the season, and a guy like Rashid Shaheed, who set up their first touchdown, another huge play, a home run hitter like that. Every addition, I think that's a big theme for both these Super Bowl teams. Every addition they made in the offseason worked. It's been unbelievable.
Can't wait for the Zach Wilson Super Bowl appearance that we got. The resurgence for Zach Wilson coming up.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I don't know where it'll be. We'll get there eventually. It happens.
Yeah. All right, we'll see.
Every time.
What was most disappointing to you in this NFC title game?
Look, the Rams, they gotta get better in the secondary. It's been a concern for me for 2 months, ever since really Week 13, that game against Carolina. They lost. It has not been the same. The corners get isolated too much one-on-one. The Rams, as a team, had a 40 coverage grade in this game. 19th in the NFL in coverage grade since Week 13. Last week's game against the Bears was really the only good game they've played in coverage for the last 2 months, and 53 explosive passes allowed. I know obviously they've played a few extra games in there, but that's the most in the NFL in that span. That's priority number one. Number two, now you look at, okay, the secondary they have to fix in the offseason alongside the question at quarterback of whether or not Matthew Stafford's coming back. How's that going to affect the draft plans? When we do mock drafts for the Rams, that's a big debate. But there's no question that the two missing links for this team as it stands, if Stafford stays, secondary, and man, they got to get better on special teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to. It's cost them multiple games this year. And
the muff punt was horrible.
And it's been a theme all year. Blocked field goals, punt returns, kick returns, right? Rashid Shaheed, remember with the punt return the last time these two teams played, right? The muff punt in this game set up a touchdown and put the Seahawks up 2 scores, which was such a big deal when you look at the high-flying offenses of these two teams, especially the Rams. So, the coverage obviously has been tough for a while for the Rams, and to me that's a big part of what cost them possibly a championship. And then on the other side, real quick, I mean, it's hard to cover Jackson Smith and Jigba too. I mean, you look at, that's my most impressive guy in this game, obviously the highest graded player. Out of the 19 games we've covered for the Seahawks, I bet Smith and Jigba was their highest graded player in at least half of them, if not more. I mean, what an unbelievable season. 92 receiving grade in this game, 10 catches, 153 yards, 9 combined first downs and touchdowns. Mike Vrabel is going to lose sleep. He's going to lose a lot of sleep over the next 2 weeks with just trying to figure out how to cover number 11. That's got to be task number one. How do we not let this guy go for 150 on us? Because there's been a lot of teams that have not been able to figure it out. I would bet he spends more time on that than anything else over these next 2 weeks prepping for this Seahawks team. How in the world do we stop Jackson Smith and Jigba? Nobody's figured out how to do it yet, and Clint Kubiak does such a great job of moving him around the formations and finding ways for him to get open against specific coverages. That's going to keep Mike Vrabel up at night for the next 2 weeks.
I hope we get a lot of Christian Gonzalez against Jackson Smith and Jigba. That would be awesome.
You're going to get everybody. And again, what Kubiak is very good at is, and you saw it on the touchdown where he ran the corner lined up out at running back, right, where the motions don't allow the defense to dictate the matchups. Even when you're in zone coverage, then Kubiak finds ways to get him isolated on a linebacker, on somebody who's not quite obviously ideal for covering him. So, if they go man-to-man and they try a shadow sort of thing, then it could be Gonzalez. And the problem is Gonzalez is really going to have to pick and prod his way probably through a lot of mud over the middle of the field where he's not used to playing as much. It is going to be – that's the chess match, first and foremost, you have to get into against Seattle. What do we do with this guy? Yeah. Right? So you're going to get Gonzalez. You're going to get Davis. You're going to get Marcus Jones in the slot. You're probably going to get some bracket coverage. It's got to be by any means necessary. We can't let this guy take the game over. I think that's the most fun schematic matchup you're going to have in the Super Bowl. Smith and Jigba against However, New England is going to set that up because no one's been able to figure it out this season.
Yeah, my most disappointing was the Seahawks run game. Honestly, in this one, obviously, it didn't really matter considering Sam Darnold was a flamethrower. Jackson Smith-Njigba was elite as always in this one too. But Seattle didn't really have much of a run game against the Rams in this game. Only 75 total yards on the ground, only 2.9 yards per carry, negative .279 EPA per run. It was their third fewest rushing yards in a game all year, their third worst EPA per run in a game all year, and their fourth worst yards per carry in a game all year for the Seahawks. Only a 58.4 rushing grade as a team and a 56.5 run blocking grade as a team too. Neither Kenneth Walker nor the Seahawks offensive line can really get much push or much going in the ground game, and they got to be better on the ground 2 weeks from now in the Super Bowl, because right now, Dalton, the New England Patriots are tied for the best coverage grade in the NFL with the Seahawks, ironically. They're only 16th in run defense grade. So I think Kenneth Walker is going to play a big part in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now, and he's got to be a lot better than he was in this game.
Well, New England's run defense has been outstanding through these playoffs. 3 games, gave up 87 rushing yards to the Chargers, 48 to Houston, 79 to Denver. The return of Robert Spillane at middle linebacker to 100% health for this postseason run, that's really been the biggest difference. I think when Spillane is on the field, you can feel the difference in their entire defense, yes, but especially in run defense. The defensive line is playing great. They're mixing up fronts, but Spillane being back at middle linebacker has really been the biggest difference. Giving up less than 90 rushing yards in all three of their playoff games. It's going to be a big factor. How does Clint Kubiak find a way to get a few explosive runs with Kenneth Walker? Got away with it here. Needed Darnold to play great. He did. Walker's going to be a huge factor, both rushing and receiving in the Super Bowl as well.
You mentioned Spillane. Obviously, he's been great for the Patriots in run defense coming back from his injury, but he unfortunately did suffer an ankle injury in that AFC title game. He left the game, did not return with that ankle injury either. So we'll see you 2 weeks off. Hopefully he can play in this Super Bowl.
It's going to be a huge story.
Yeah, they need him in the Super Bowl, absolutely. And Kenneth Walker, like I said, the Seahawks need him in the Super Bowl too, because I don't know against that elite New England secondary that they have right now if you're going to be able to rely on just Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp to win that game for the Seattle Seahawks. But of course, cover all that very, very soon with the Patriots and the Seahawks advancing to Super Bowl 60, a rematch again of Super Bowl 49 that we had 11 years ago. All right, that wraps up this grade release show for the conference championship games that we had in the NFL. Of course, I have plenty of content coming this week, not from the Cincinnati studio, actually from Mobile, Alabama, where me, Dalton, Trevor, and a bunch of other guys will be there for the Senior Bowl this week, breaking down one of the top all-star games that we have for a lot of top prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft. So stay subscribed right now or subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss any of that content coming from Mobile, Alabama this week for the Senior Bowl. For Dalton Wasserman, for our producers back there, and Tyler and Eli, I'm Max Chadwick. We'll see you guys in Mobile, Alabama with our full coverage of the Senior Bowl.